How did they treat you?
Surprisingly well. I actually expected that, like any hostage situation, not that I've experienced it before, but I expected it to be different.
Wallace treated you, this 19-year-old boy, treated you with some compassion, but at the same time you describe him as a killing machine.
Yeah, it was hard to come to grips with that. When he described his own childhood and made me realize, boy, he doesn't have to think twice if he has to pull this trigger. At the same time, having deep cry out of his own soul of, if I had been shown differently as your parents have taught you, I would be doing something different.
He told you that?
Yeah, I would have loved to tell him that, but instead, after hearing my life story, he kind of opened up about his own life story. He said, all I've seen in my life is killing people. This is all I've seen from my father. And then he said, he's gone to prison 14 years ago, and then when we were able to put together his age, he was only 5 years old when he was done with learning from his father, and all he had seen at that time was killing people.
And he certainly saw a lot of that from the people he was with here.
Sure.
I mean, there's one person you named hopeless.
Yes.
Because he was so
downtrodden. He had absolutely no hope, absolutely no joy, no smiles. And it was only later on, the second day, we found out that he was assigned, I should say, to take our truck and fulfill suicide bombing in Kabul. And I thought to myself, if I was in this situation, would I have any more hope? And that's why, in spite of their beliefs, and I'm a strong believer of this, your belief system or what you have faith in negates your behavior and your attitude, for sure. And if this is what you believe in and you're not certain about it, why would you have hope? Here he's told that he's going to attain salvation, or he's going to go to paradise and get all his virgins or what have you, just by doing this mission because that's the right thing to do. He was probably easily one of the most hopeless characters I've ever come across.
Which is dangerous for you.
There's a few occasions where my colleagues probably didn't translate the fact that he kept on saying, why are we still talking to this guy? And
meaning, why aren't we killing him?
Why aren't we killing him? Just say the word and I'll pull the trigger. And it took a lot of compassion from my own heart to see where he was at. And the moment I heard that he was going to be killing himself and killing others and doing so, I couldn't help but feel that compassion for him because he was hopeless for a very, very good reason.
Even though he was threatening your life and psychologically torturing you?
In very difficult ways, through my own hard lessons, Chip, I've learned to at least try to understand people from where they are at. And that's a very difficult thing to do, especially when we have probably some of the international conflicts that we see nowadays. It's hard to understand somebody else's mindset, why they do what they do. And if you can get around those initial assumptions or idiosyncrasies, whatever it might be, I think we will all be in a different place of understanding. Still, I totally agree with you. My life was still at stake.
Your captors really spanned the spectrum, as you describe it in the book. On one side, you had Hopeless, who was threatening to kill you and had no hope in life. Yeah. And then you had Wallace, the 19-year-old, who was showing you some compassion, but was also a, quote, killing machine. Sure. And then you had another young one who cried because he didn't want you to be kidnapped.
Yeah, the more I was talking about my life, I noticed someone trying to get my attention. It was actually my colleague. He wanted me to make sure that I saw that Ahmed, this other young man, was tearful. He was actually remorseful that, asking this question, you guys lied to me. You just said that we're going to get some money that you were owed, and yet we're now sitting with a guy that doesn't seem to deserve death, and we're going to kill him. I don't want to be part of this. And they're struggling with this idea of, wait, is this right? But this is what we're told to do.
Even though these two young men in particular were members of a Taliban group that was killing people and kidnapping for ransom,
Yeah.
you still saw glimmers of morality.
Glimmers of morality, and more than that, I saw a lot of hope where we don't necessarily see hope.